Welcome into Score Values. I'm your host, Adam Harris. I'm joined right now by Frank Valadez. He's the Executive Director at the Chicago Metro History Education Center. Frank, thanks for giving us time.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Excited to talk to you a little bit about the Chicago Metro History Education Center. But first, let's talk about Giving Tuesday, or hashtag Giving Tuesday. It came up this past Tuesday. How did it go? What is Giving Tuesday, and can people still contribute?
Well, people can always contribute. That's definitely true. Not only to our organization, and I'll tell you about that in a second, but also to any other nonprofit organization that people care about. As I understand it, Giving Tuesday, the idea kind of popped up during the past few years as a response to the other commercial aspects of the holiday season, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and generally people think that this is a time for giving and charity and philanthropy, and it was people believe that it was important to at least try and find a way to get people to focus on that, at least for one day, and but then also at other times as well. So Giving Tuesday started, and then this past year, Donors Forum, which is an organization of Illinois nonprofit or social impact organizations, decided that they wanted to have a statewide campaign, and they wanted to raise $12 million on that one day, and they encouraged, I think there were more than 500 or 600 organizations statewide that signed up to participate. And so we threw our hat in with everybody else's, and we made a special appeal to the people that we know through Twitter and Facebook and an email appeal to raise a little bit of funds on that day. I just was checking some numbers. I saw that Donors Forum had raised, they had more than $800,000 they saw with only 100 of those organizations reporting. So they have a little ways to go to get to their goal, but I think that there are still some more organizations to report.
Yeah, you said about 600 or 500 to 600. That's really a very cool concept that Giving Tuesday is a nationwide thing, but it's nice that Illinois came together to form their own sort of campaign to bridge off Giving Tuesday, and it was nice, I'm sure, to collaborate with any nonprofit organization out there in Illinois.
I think the great thing about it that I see is that it's an opportunity for all of the charitable and social service organizations to really put an emphasis on philanthropy, at least in an organized way. Generally we all have our own fundraising plans, and we're all going to make our own appeals. And we have our own. We made one a couple months ago, and then another one a couple weeks ago, and we'll do it again throughout the month and at different times. In fact, there's a fundraising event that's going to happen in February that I want to tell you about in a few minutes.
Right.
But we all do that anyway. But what's really nice is that this particular effort, I think, was that it highlighted the importance of the kind of work that organizations like ours and other organizations across the state do. And even if people didn't manage to give on Giving Tuesday, it's a reminder that you can still give on December 3rd or yesterday, or well, now it's passed, but yesterday's passed.
Right.
But at any time this week coming up to the holidays, it's still not too late to make an impact on any of the organizations that you care about and try to address any social problems that people think need to be addressed.
Yeah, Giving Tuesday it's not just for that day. It's just a nice reminder. It's a way to launch a reminder that it is also a season for giving, and you buy all the presents that you can for all the people that you care about. But also, yeah, season for giving, and it's always a season for giving because everyone out there could use a little bit of help. Let's go into the Chicago Metro History Education Center.
Sure.
Just give us an overall of what you guys do there. I mean, not even overall. You can go specific with it as well.
Well, sure. The mission of the organization is to spark students' interest in the study of history, to help them build high-level thinking skills, to engage them in civic life, and to foster their intellectual self-confidence. So that's what we want as a goal, or what we aim for the students who participate in our programs to achieve in the end. But the main way we do that is through a program called the Chicago Metro History Fair, or just History Fair for short. And it's been around for almost 40 years now. Essentially, it's a competition, a year-long competition in which students present research projects that they developed on topics related to Chicago history. So if people are maybe familiar with Science Fair, it's kind of the same idea, except students do history projects.
Is this separate from school?
Mostly, the way that we work with students is through schools. So there are about 120 schools will participate this year that have participated every year in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 15,000 students at those different schools will develop history fair projects in their schools. So the way that it works best, we have a very small staff. It's only 3.5 people. We can only work with so many students directly. So really what we try to do is provide professional development for teachers so they can guide students through these research projects. And by building the skills of the teachers in working with students, we're really able to provide students with that, with the educational benefits of what a research project in history can provide.
You're listening to Score Values. I'm your host, Adam Harris. I'm joined by Frank Valadez. He's the executive director at the Chicago Metro History Education Center, and that's what we're talking about right now. When is the History Fair, and is this all the schools that pool together? You said about 120 schools. They contact you. Is that how it works and say, we'd like to be a part of this, or you reach out, and how does all that work?
Well, we're happy to have requests from schools who want to participate, and now is not a bad time for schools that are thinking about participating. It's a little late to get involved, to get started this year, to participate as effectively as you want. For the most part, teachers have developed their curriculum already. However, the fairs which happen, the actual fairs where students present their projects, which happen from late February into March, it's not a bad idea for a teacher who thinks that this kind of project might be good to get in contact with us. Just go to our website, chicagohistoryfair.org. There's contact information there, and also information about the program. And we'd love to have them come as a guest or as a visitor to learn more about the program, see the kinds of projects that kids develop. But that's the highlight of the year when that happens. A lot of times, what will happen is that a school where a teacher has participated or is familiar with the program is committed to it, and they know the benefits that it has for students. If they leave that school and they go somewhere else, they take the program to that school. So that's pretty much how it tends to spread by word of mouth from one teacher to another, or a teacher who has experience with it. That's how they get involved. But certainly, people are welcome to contact us as well. The program itself, does kind of exist year-round. So this time of year, we're busy doing workshops for teachers and students. In fact, this Saturday morning, we'll have a program at the Harold Washington Library to help students and teachers develop research skills, with the very generous help of the librarians at the Chicago Public Library, who are coming in, volunteering. They're coming in on their day off to work with these teachers and students, which is a really wonderful commitment on their part. And again, there's more information about that workshop on our website.
So, like, various workshops like that happen throughout the year for teachers to then, is it more of just coach them up on which directions to go in history and how to benefit the student?
There are a lot of different things that the benefits that we can help teachers develop, or skills that we can help teachers develop. Some teachers may not be experts in Chicago history, so we help guide them to important topics in Chicago history, give them a little bit of content background, also help them know where in the city they can find historical research resources for research. So primary source documents like at the History Museum or at the public library or other places where they can go, but also helping them learn the skills, the actual pedagogical skills, the teaching methods of guiding students through a research project. So rather than reading the textbook and taking a test, it's helping kids understand how to ask a good historical question. A question like, what date was the Declaration of Independence signed? That's not really a great historical question. You could just go look that up. But if you want a question about what's the significance of a reform movement in Chicago history, and then students have to find sources that talk about that movement, learn about it, why it happened, what its impact was, what its legacy was, and really use that reflection, that research as a way to prepare them not just to develop a project for a school project, but to prepare them to ask those kinds of questions and do that kind of.
You're listening to Score Values. I'm your host, Adam Harris. I'm joined by Frank Valadez. He's the executive director at Chicago Metro History Education Center. Frank, why history? Is that kind of why? Because then students have to delve in and research and comprehend what they're learning and then present it. Is that why history? What makes history such a great way for students to grow as students?
Well, I think that history is just essential to some of the most important things that we want from our educational system. People who talk about there's a statewide organization that supports the civic mission for schools. In other words, the way that schools help kids become good citizens. And history is essential to that. I mean, you can't understand your role as a citizen in the United States if you don't understand the way our governments have developed over time,
Mm-hmm.
the way people have lived, the way our economy works. The history of the struggles for equality, for justice, all of those things are essential to being a good citizen. And also the kinds of things the ways that historians, the habits of mind that historians have when they think about the world, the way change happens over time. The kinds of questions about bias, whether one source is biased in one way and another source is biased in another way. Those kinds of questions are just absolutely essential. The kinds of critical thinking skills that historians deal with are very important for students to develop. And so History Fair really provides students with a great opportunity to develop those skills in a real project. One thing that I should say about it is that the kids get to select the topics that they want to study.
Mm-hmm.
And what's important about that is they're more engaged then. They're excited about it. And so I'm interested in civil rights, or I'm interested in the economic development of my community, or I want to know why did that factory close in my town. Kids can they're curious about those topics, and then they're motivated to work harder and learn more, and that pays just wonderful benefits for students.
And what sort of benefits and what sort of feedback have you gotten from teachers that you have worked with through workshops and through this History Fair?
I'm laughing because History Fair actually is a lot of hard work for teachers.
Right.
And it's a lot harder to guide a classroom of 25 students through individual research projects than it is to have a classroom of 25 students read a chapter and take a test or a quiz. It demands a lot more of teachers, and so they come to a lot of professional development. They invest a lot of time working individually with students, but they do it because it's effective. In fact, there was a story just in the past week on the PBS NewsHour about the importance of project-based education in some place not Chicago. But it's the same kind of idea there that works for History Fair. And the reason that teachers do it, the reason they invest this time and effort, is because they see the benefits for their students. And generally, I can't say enough about my staff here at History Fair, two people in particular, Lisa Oppenheim and Crystal Johnson, who lead a lot of the professional development programs for the teachers that participate in History Fair. And I can't think of a single time I've ever heard a negative word from any teacher participating in programs about the skill and benefit that Lisa and Crystal provide for them in knowing how to participate in History Fair effectively.
And what's the best way to get a student completely engaged? I mean, they get to pick their topic, which is awesome. But still, to students, it may be work to end up being in this History Fair. So what sort of advice in these sessions that you have with these teachers do you give?
Well, I'm not the best, most qualified person to talk about that. I think that the teachers are going to. I think that every student is an individual probably, and the teachers are going to have to work to know what each individual, what is going to motivate any individual student to participate. At a level of full engagement. And certainly, like anything, there are going to be students who just don't want to do it and do think it's a lot of work, or they're more interested in other things. And that's a challenge, and that happens. Right. But I can tell you one thing that we do hear from teachers is that a lot of times they think, people will think that because this is a demanding academic project for students, that only the best students can do it. And certainly, the good students tend to do pretty well. But I hear often from teachers that it's the students who are not engaged in any other kind of academic activity who suddenly then, when they have the opportunity to participate in something in History Fair, they come alive, and they achieve at levels that are higher than they ever had
That's really
before.
Cool.
And exactly, and that's a really wonderful outcome.
Frank, a couple more questions here. I guess, how do you want the public here in Chicago to help you guys out? What sort of ways do you need help?
Well, there are a number of things that we can do. Obviously, since we started talking about giving, I'll start this answer by talking about giving. Donations to the Chicago Metro History Fair are always welcome. And if you go to our website, chicagohistoryfair.org, there's a donate button. That is a great way to make a contribution. But if you want to know more about the organization and you want to see some of the projects and do that kind of stuff, which is a great way to get engaged with History Fair, when you can see the enthusiasm for the students. In the next month or two, we are going to begin to do our invitations to the general public to serve as volunteer judges for the History Fair. So every year, 500,
Oh, that's
600
cool.
people show up at the History Fair events to judge the projects. And you don't need any special
Form of education or background
no,
or anything, yeah.
any kind of generally well-educated, intelligent person who likes history maybe or likes students is welcome to sign up to judge. And again, if you go to our website, chicagohistoryfair.org, and look for the button that says to volunteer or to become a judge, that'll be going up in the next month or so. And then they can sign up to judge on the various different dates when the fairs happen. I'm sorry, I don't have the list in front of me. The first fair, the Suburban Junior Fair, is that last Saturday in February, and then the subsequent fairs come up in March and then in April.
And that's your big event coming up. Frank, what sort of events do you have coming up in the near future here?
Well, there's a really exciting fundraising event that we're going to have on February 24th. At Lagunitas Brewery, the new one down near Pilsen. It'll be from 5:30 to 8:30 on February 24th. It's called Brews, Blues, and Barbecue. Chicago Slim from the Chicago Blues All Stars is going to perform, and Lagunitas is providing the beer style beverages for the event, and then we're going to find some barbecue to serve people as well. The ticket price will be low; it's just $35 per person, and all of the proceeds go to History Fair to help us continue our work with students. It's going to be a lot of fun. We've done this a bunch of times. We've always had about 200 people at this event. This year the space is bigger, so we'll have 300. If you haven't seen the new Lagunitas Brewery, if you enjoy the blues, if you want to support history education, it's really a great event. It'll be a lot of fun, and we welcome people to come out. And information will be going up on our website before too long. And again, that's chicagohistoryfair.org.
The 3 Bs, barbecue and brewery and blues. I'm sure that's a very, very fun event for you guys.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Frank Valadez, thank you very much for giving us time this morning on Score Values. Anyone out there interested in history or students, just like Frank said, I'm sure it's a great event, and I'm sure it's a way to get involved. Also, donating. Where do the funds go, just so people know where their money's going?
Well, they go to support the activities of the organization, which generally, since this is a labor-intensive thing, it goes to pay the staff of our professional staff that lead programs with the teachers and students. That's a big chunk. But we also provide materials for participating schools and students, and then other things like awards for students, different kinds
Yeah, absolutely. And the staff, very, very important, leading those sessions for the teachers and even for the students as well. Thank you very much, Frank, for your time. I appreciate it very much.